Hey second graders, today we are going to be doing a directed draw for your calendar for George Washington Carver. So George Washington Carver was born into slavery in the 1860s in Missouri. He was raised by Moses Carver and was taught to read and write, which was not very common for slaves during this time. He went to college and studied plants. He continued to work and study plants as a scientist, and he is most known for his work with peanuts. So let's go ahead and get started. I always like to start with the nose. So whoever we're doing, I usually start with the nose because it gives me a good placement of where everything else is going to come after. So I'm gonna go about 3 fingers down, right kind of in the middle of my paper right here, and I'm gonna draw his nose, and it's going to have a little bump, come down and back up. Okay, so kind of like a wave. Okay, and then I'm going to draw the sides of his nose, just like this. And then I'm gonna come up right here, the bridge of his nose, so that I know where I'm gonna be putting his eyes. So his eyes are gonna come right to the side. We're gonna do this eye first. I'm gonna draw a little line that comes like that, just a little curve. I'm gonna bring this part down and up. And then I'm gonna give him his iris and the pupil right in there. Okay, maybe draw that a little. Okay, and we're gonna give him a little, we're gonna color in that pupil, but I'm gonna leave a little white spot. So I'm gonna color it in right there, but I left a little bit of white to show the light. Okay, and then I'm gonna go on this side and I'm gonna draw his other eye, another little curve, come down and back up. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna draw his iris and his pupil right in there. And I'm gonna leave a little bit of white on the same side to show where that light source is coming from. Okay. So now I have his eyes. I'm gonna give his little eyelids, draw some curves over, just like that, to show his eyelids. And then I'm gonna draw his eyebrows, and they're gonna come right above that eye, where that bridge is, and they're not gonna be very thick. I'm gonna make them kind of thin, okay? Just like that. He was known by his mustache. Like when we see a picture of him, we're like, oh, look at that mustache. So I'm gonna draw his mustache right under that nose. It's gonna come down like this, and the same thing on this side, like this. And then I'm just gonna bring it up with some lines, some ridges, to show that texture of that mustache, okay? Then right under that, I'm gonna draw his lips. So there's that middle part where his top lip meets his bottom lip. And then I'm gonna draw a line that just comes down to show that bottom lip, okay? So now that we have his face mostly done, his features, we're gonna draw the side of his head, okay? And it's gonna come, I'm gonna start kind of where the eyes are, and I'm just gonna come down and in. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on that other side, okay? Down and in. Now I'm gonna give him an ear on this side. It's just gonna kind of curve like that. We're gonna come down, and here's his ear, okay? And on this side, we can do just a little ear, because he's kind of looking that way. Then I'm gonna do his hair. I'm gonna do his hairline first. So I'm gonna come up and around like this, and it just kind of stops right here. And then from here, I'm gonna go up. And if it goes into the letters, that's okay. We'll just stop when you get to the letters. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna come up, this one's gonna kind of come in a little bit, and then it's gonna go up into the letters, okay? So I have that hairline right there where the skin, the face meets that hair. Then I'm gonna go from the ear, and I'm just gonna kind of come up and around. And again, once it gets to that, the letters, you can just pretend like it's continuing. And then I'm gonna go over and back down. So there's his hair, okay? Now he often wore a nice jacket because he was a professor too. And he found different ways to use peanuts, peanut oil, right? Some think he invented peanut butter. He didn't, but his experiments kind of led to that. He became the first African American to graduate from Iowa State University and made just amazing agricultural advancements to help improve the lives of farmers. So he often taught too. So he wore a nice little bow tie. We'll put a bow tie right under, maybe about a finger space below his chin. And then it's just kind of like a square. And then over here I'm gonna draw this part of his bow and then another part right under it. It's like a double bow tie. And I'm gonna do the same thing on that other side. And again, if you get to the bottom and you run out of space, you just stop, okay? And I'm gonna draw a collared shirt because it's kind of fancy. So here's his collared shirt. It comes up, and there's his neck. And this side kind of comes down. And he's gonna have like a really fancy jacket. So the lapel's gonna come down. This part I'm gonna kind of sketch out. And it's gonna come in and down, and the same thing kind of on this side. It's gonna have that fancy lapel. And then his shoulders are gonna kind of come off of that. And again, they're gonna come off of the page and stop at the bottom, okay? So now I have him drawn out, okay? And I can color him. And I'm gonna make his bow tie light blue. So I'm gonna color this in, and when I color, I like to go in one direction. So if right now I'm going up and down, I'm gonna go up and down for that whole area, okay? And have my crayon always in the same direction. Okay, so left to right. For the top of that bow tie, I'm gonna do left to right on the top of this one. Okay, and then maybe up and down for the bottom of that bow tie. And it's light blue. And then I'm gonna have his jacket, the lapel part, be a darker blue. That's not a darker blue. I'll have it, this part, be a darker blue. And again, I'm gonna go up and down in one direction. Same thing on this side. Up and down. And I wanna make sure I get all that space colored in. All the space I want colored in, I want it colored in. And then on the outside, I can push a little bit harder with that same blue to add a little more pressure to make it darker. I just want it a little bit darker. I want it the same color, but a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more pressure, not too much. I don't wanna break my crayon. And now I have his bow tie, shirt. I'm gonna leave white, and his jacket. So he was an African American, so I'm gonna get my brown out and do just a beautiful job coloring. I'm gonna leave his hair white for now, okay? I'm gonna leave it white for now, but I'm gonna go back in and do that gray. So I'm gonna color all this part. I'm gonna color right here on his chin. And again, I like to go in one direction. Okay, and I'm gonna go up. I'm not gonna color in his eyes right now. I'm gonna color around. And around the eyebrows, because I think I'm gonna color those in black. And just the whole face nice and colored in one direction. Not the band. Just like that, okay? Then I think I'm gonna just add a little more pressure with the same crayon and color that. A little bit darker on his lips. Okay, I'm gonna get out my gray and I'm gonna color his mustache. And his hair gray. And I want to make sure that he is completely colored in. Not very much white showing, unless there's parts like in the pupil. That's okay. I'll have that part. I'm gonna color in the iris, maybe a dark brown, and then we'll do black for his eyebrows like this. Okay, and he was a scientist, and I always like to put little things in the backgrounds of my drawings. So I think I'm gonna add maybe a little peanut over here, maybe a little peanut over here. I'm gonna add some crisscross lines in there. And I am finished with my directed drawing.